What's up, YouTube? Well, I'm stuck in traffic, so it's a good time as ever to make a video. I never really addressed what my thoughts are of the Corsa Xtreme exhaust that I put on my car after I installed it. I made a couple videos of revving and spinning the tires through first and all that kind of stuff, but I never really talked about what my final impressions were of the exhaust. So I figured I'd make a video to kind of go over what my thoughts are and what my final impressions are of the Corsa Xtreme Catback. So basically, I'll start from the beginning. I had a Flowmaster Force II exhaust, catback exhaust on my car from almost day one of buying my car. I don't know, maybe I had it for a month before I took the stock exhaust off and put the Flowmaster Force II on. And, honestly, from the beginning, I loved the Force II exhaust. It was perfect for me. I personally like the sound of Flowmaster mufflers, and the car definitely needed something to be heard. It was way too quiet from the factory. So initially it was perfect, exactly what I wanted. Not too loud, but when you stepped on it, you definitely knew you had an exhaust. So once I started upgrading the exhaust further, I got JBA high flow mid pipes. It didn't really change anything exhaust sound wise. Maybe a hair raspier, we'll say. But after you, just like any other modification, when you first get it, you're super excited about it, you notice the difference, but then over time you get used to it. And so with the Force II, that was definitely the case. I got used to the sound level, and once I started upgrading the exhaust more, I kept hoping that it would make the exhaust a little louder. So after the JBA high flow mids, I did JBA shorty headers, hoping again that not only I'd get a performance benefit, but maybe it would increase the sound level a little. And that definitely was not the case. Yes, I got a performance increase once I got the custom tune, but the sound level of the exhaust did not change. Very, very little, if any. Same thing with the mid pipes. So in the end, I ended up deciding, well, the only way I'm going to make the car louder and achieve what I'm looking for as far as sound levels go is to upgrade the catback. So I started exploring that route, did my typical stay up late nights, not being able to sleep because I'm looking at every aspect and spec of exhaust out there, and basically came down to the decision, well, I'm gonna have to pay to play, and Corsa Xtreme seems to be the one that everyone says is the best sounding, the loudest, without drone. And so really that was the key for me, is I wanted something that was gonna perform, sound level increase, but also I did not want to deal with any kind of droning issues, being that this is the car we typically take on family vacations or trips up to see the in-laws. And so I made the decision I'm going to pay up to get the Corsa Xtreme. And hold on, let me get the coffee break here. So anyways, got the Corsa Xtreme, and I mean, right off the bat, looking at the exhaust, quality fabrication, everything that I expected for paying over $1,000 for a catback exhaust. So initial impressions after install was and I hate to say that because I obviously spent a lot of money for it, but I guess what my initial impressions was that it just sounded like cherry bomb mufflers, or straight pipes almost. It was super raspy, and yes, definitely louder, but also louder in the fact that I was still experiencing drone. And I'll have to kind of put in the parentheses there. Drone for me was not cruising on the highway let me rephrase that. Drone for me was what I was experiencing when the car went into 4-cylinder mode. So when I still had eco mode or MDS or whatever you want to call it on, where the car kicks into 4 cylinders from 8 to save on gas, the exhaust would make an annoying tone that I described as drone. And so I actually contacted Corsa about that, and Corsa replied and said, that's not drone, that's just the change that the car makes when it goes into eco mode, and there's nothing that you can do about that. That's not what they're claiming. Their claim is that just in 8-cylinder mode, basically, that if you're on the highway, you won't get that annoying frequency buzz, or however, you know, you want to explain it. Which, you know, I wish that they would kind of explain that a little more in their sales copy, but, you know, it is what it is, and, you know, I accepted that as an answer. And so basically for me, what it came down to really appreciate this exhaust was, well, A, I had a rattle that install error on my part. I forgot to tighten one clamp, and so that was causing some of the buzzing when I was going into 4-cylinder mode at low RPMs. Once I fixed that, that went away, but it was still making an annoying tone when it goes into 4-cylinder mode. So the only real solution for that was turn off MDS. So I had my custom tuner, Hemi Fever. So if you're looking for a custom tune, HemiFeverTuning.com, I think, might be the website. HemiFeverTune.com, not sure, but you can just Google Hemi Fever. Watch out, squirrel. And so anyways, his name's Sean. And so Sean's cool because when you buy a tune, a custom email tune, you know, little changes like turning MDFs off or whatever, he usually won't charge you for that after you've already had him do your custom tune. So I just emailed him and said, hey, can you, same tune, just turn it off, and asked him if it was necessary to get another tune after getting the exhaust, and he said no, you know, it's going to be the same. So anyways, he turned it off, and since then, and once the exhaust was broken in, which it does take time for the exhaust, you know, to get all those exhaust fumes in there and coat it, and it does change the sound of it. Now that all that's been taken care of, excuse me, I'm actually in love with this exhaust now. The sound wise, I'll touch on what I don't love about it in a sec. Sound wise, it is insane. It's extreme, like they call it. It is just a banshee out of hell when you get on it. Cruising around and stuff, it's not that much louder than the Force II. I mean, it is, but it's not obnoxious in any respect. It's just got a mean tone, and even when you know, you're just cruising around, you can tell that there's something more going on there. And again, wide open throttle, beast mode. This is the thing with me, is I obsess about these things. So I took the Corsa off after installing it, put the Flowmaster Force II back on, expecting to sell the Corsa because I had buyer's remorse because it wasn't exactly what I was hoping it would be. Took it off, thought I was going to sell it, ended up putting it back on because once I put the Force II back on, I realized how much more quiet it was than the Corsa Xtreme, and I was unhappy again because I was like, well, the whole point of this is that I wanted to get a louder exhaust, and thought, okay, I just need to get used to it, to the new sound level. And at that time, I still hadn't dealt with the MDS, so I was getting the buzzy tone and all that. So once I dealt with the MDS, got it off, I decided, okay, you know, that's it, and ended up selling the Force II and kept the Corsa on. And like I said, once I got used to it, it was awesome. But big thing that I didn't expect from this is that the Corsa Xtreme definitely makes more horsepower than the Flowmaster. I don't have numbers, I didn't do a dyno or anything like that. Just based strictly off of feel and you know, taking off from a start. With the Corsa, I was burning through first gear like nothing, and chirping second hard. When I put the Flowmaster back on, I was definitely experiencing a harder time getting the rear wheels to break loose. And this wasn't, you know, an issue, oh, well, you know, with the Corsa, it was wet, and it definitely was same conditions, same roads, and I could notice top end to pull. The Corsa was definitely free flowing, whereas the Flowmaster, I think it was restricting flow. Which I've heard a lot about Flowmasters. They call them noise boxes because they are not straight through mufflers. I mean, they're chambered, and so you know, while they do sound cool, I do like the sound of Flowmasters. I have come to discover that they do not flow. In general, the whole exhaust system did not flow as good as the Corsa did, and so on top of it, once I got used to the sound of the Corsa and it broke in, and now I love it. it definitely is a better flowing exhaust. The car performs way better. So sounds awesome, performance is awesome. The only issue that I have at this point is the visual look of it. You know, it uses angled mufflers, and I'll put up a picture here of what you can see what the mufflers look like. I'm sure if you have, you know, looked at Corsa Xtremes, you already know, but the mufflers for the first gen LXs, at least you know, for the Charger, the mufflers are put at an angle. And you know, at first I thought it was cool, it's different. Then I think one of my friends mentioned, oh, it looks kind of tunerish, or I read it somewhere. And now I'm like, oh, it does kind of look like a tuner exhaust, you know, kind of like that, you know, the tuners would put their mufflers at a weird angle, or the exhaust pipes coming up at a weird angle. And so now that I've got that in my head, you know, like I said, I obsess about things. So that's one thing I'm obsessing about. So I've decided that once we go through this winter and it warms up in the spring, I'm probably going to paint just the muffler, just the back muffler part, black. I'm going to paint it satin black or flat black, just so it disappears more into the car and you just see the tips. And I think that will alleviate that problem. I personally like more of a stock look. I like it to look like there's something, but not as in your face as this exhaust looks. I mean, it's pretty, it is extreme. Sorry, I know I rambled. This is what I do. I think personally, I have one of the best sounding first gen 5.7s. It's sick sounding to me. And it's, and I can still have the family in the car and cruise, and it's not annoying. That's the trade. That's like the perfect thing. Get on the gas, it sounds insane, like a Hellcat. It's like got the bark of the Hellcat, but you know, the bite of a kitten. I hope to put those gears in soon and make another video. Peace out.